Florence Nightingale, the hard-working visionary. The nursing profession is something that I have taken for granted all my life. My mother was a nurse in the 1940s when the profession was seen as a calling and each shift started with prayers. I became a Christian in the 1980s and felt called into the nursing profession as a psychiatric nurse, something that I did for 33 years. At one point, I lived in a house that had a blue plaque on it honouring Edith Cavell, who had lived there as a schoolgirl. She had been famous as a World War I nurse who was arrested and shot for spying by the Germans. Her deeply Christian beliefs propelled Edith Cavell to help all those who needed it, including both German and Allied soldiers. She was quoted as saying, "I can't stop while there are lives to be saved." Part of my own testimony as a Christian involves being ill in hospital and seeing nurses at work. Seeing people devoted to caring touched my heart and made me realise what a wasted life I'd led. I always felt that the nursing profession was Christian at its heart. Florence Nightingale was the archetypal exponent of this. She felt called by God and literally heard his voice telling her that she had work to do. According to some accounts, she heard God's voice 4 times when she was young, calling her to a specific mission. She claimed to have heard the same words each time, "I have work for you to do." By the time she was 16 years old, it was clear to her that nursing was her calling. She believed it to be her divine purpose. Born into a wealthy family, Florence overcame the limited opportunities offered to girls of her station. In 1851, despite the disapproval of her family, she completed a course of nurse training in Germany. At this time, there was no real nursing profession in England. What we would now regard as nursing duties were carried out by orderlies with no real training or understanding of sanitation and healthcare. Florence's vision was for high-quality nursing care based on science, statistics, and good practice. She remained true to this vision all her life. She also seems to have been gifted by God for this task, as she had remarkable stamina and was gifted with a peculiar genius. She could assimilate information in prodigious quantities, retain it, marshal her facts, and use them effectively. She was truly, in my opinion, a prophet with a vision. She saw a better future and spent her life working for it. Like the other social reformers in this series, she knew what she had to do. After her training in Germany, she worked as a superintendent at the Institution for Care of Sick Gentlewomen in Distressed Circumstances in England. While she held this job, cholera broke out and nurses, fearing the disease, refused to serve. So Florence acted as a nurse herself and earned universal respect. This reputation helped her when the Crimean War broke out and the government created a new position for her, superintendent of the female nursing establishment of the English General Hospitals in Turkey. The rest is history. Florence became famous for her work in the Crimea, caring for the sick and wounded of the Crimean War, and tirelessly working to improve nursing standards. She was not always approved of by many groups as she was pushing boundaries at the time. Most of her helpers were Anglican or Catholic nuns who could be suspicious of her. The one group who did love her were the patients. They adored the Lady of the Lamp, as they called her, when she visited the wards at the end of the day. They spoke of kissing her very shadow as she passed. When the war ended, she seemed to the public to be the one good thing that emerged from it. She continued her work, and it would take volumes to record it all. She was a pioneer in the areas of hospital hygiene, sanitation, and also in the use of statistics. In fact, one chart she used to illustrate the causes of mortality in the Crimean War which Nightingale used as a way to explain complex statistics simply, clearly and persuasively, has become known as Nightingale's Rose diagram. Although she was not strongly denominational, she regarded herself as a co-worker with God, and she saw her nursing profession as a direct extension of God's work, believing it was her duty to reflect God's goodness and bring health to the world. She was not a theologian, and her religious views weren't always orthodox, but everything she did was motivated by love for her fellow men and women and her desire to improve their conditions. When I was nursing in hospitals and worked with a really excellent female nurse, I could always see a bit of Florence Nightingale in her, that incredible ability to gather information, to focus on the job in hand, and do it all not just in a professional way, but with grace and love. So I think the world owes a debt of gratitude to Florence Nightingale, and she would of course say that it wasn't her but God doing the work through her. But as I've said before, when I was I was a psychiatric nurse. I wasn't a general nurse, but I did work in hospitals, and even with the care assistants, sometimes when they get someone ready for bed, they did it with such care and love, and people looked so comfortable when they'd been got ready for bed, and it was just a gift that they had, and it's a wonderful gift that many nurses have, just to care for people when they're in a very vulnerable situation. So once again, we can say that not every prophet is a loner who stands on a hill, but many prophets are people who have a vision and a calling from God, and not only transfer it to other people, but also roll up their sleeves and do the work themselves. So thank you for listening. If you found this video interesting, you can find more information at prophecy-workshop.com.